school's out, blame corona, but I still got some science I could show ya. No class, no school, that's cool, throw the class on the YouTube. Even if they shut the school down, I'll get that knowledge anyway somehow. Real scholars won't stop for corona. Tune in for that science takeover.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Today is April 1st, the first of the month. Yes. Let's get started. So, happy Wednesday to the HB Warriors, to all of our subscribers, to everyone that's tuning in from your home to my home. We will learn about science today. Let's get into it. So today's learning objective. I can explain the difference between viruses and bacteria. What are viruses? What's bacteria? All right, we want to talk about that and get a better understanding of the two so that we can compare them. All right? So let's look at this scenario, and this is definitely not a case that we are in right now because we're all home. But it says, you wake up on a school day with a fever and sore throat. After verifying your symptoms, your parent takes you to the doctor. The doctor says that you have a viral infection and antibiotics won't help you get better. Why? Okay, we need to learn about antibiotics clearly, right? So here it says a virus is a non-living particle that makes copies of itself inside living cells. Non-living particles makes copies of itself inside of living cells. People often confuse bacteria and viruses because they can both make you sick, but a bacterium is a living thing and a virus is not. Antibiotics only kill living things. The root of the word antibiotics are anti, meaning against. Shout out to Caleb in the back. He has something to say about this. And bio, meaning life. Okay, so antibiotics do not work against non-living things like viruses. Viruses can also be much smaller than bacteria. Some viruses even infect bacteria and can make the bacteria sick. All right, so what do we need to take away from this section here? A virus is a non-living particle that makes copies of itself inside of living things. We're going to watch a video to give you a little more insight on that. Okay, and an antibiotic, which the doctor said wouldn't help with you getting better in this case. All right. Why? Because they only kill living things. A virus is not a living thing. All right. So an antibiotic means against life. So something that is not living would not need an antibiotic. All right. So here we go. Viruses are not made of cells. These are some strange things. Talk about them. A virus has a structure that looks somewhat like a cell, but it is not a cell. Just a copycat. A virus can also make copies of itself, but many viruses do this by using the machinery of the cell that it infects, called a host cell. It is a user. A virus is a user. It needs to use a host cell in order for it to be effective. All right. So the host cell dies and can burst, releasing thousands of new virus particles that go on to infect other cells. All right. So let's think about this. A virus needs to get inside of a host cell for it to even be effective. It gets inside of a host cell. It takes over the host cell to the point that it will burst, all right? And now it can spread, the virus can spread and infect other cells. You talking about a super bad guy. That's a virus for you. Super bad guy. Just trying to come into environments and take over things and spread all that negativity. How many of you have met a person like that just shows up and just tries to spread all that negativity? If they're effective, okay, they can spread and they can get into other folks and just start destroying stuff. So we have to put a stop to that. Bring your positivity to every environment, all right? We do not want to connect negativity, not at all. That's not what we do at HB, no, okay? Moving on. Viruses challenge the concept of what it means to be a living or non-living thing because it has some features of living things. All right, we want to get into a video. All right, see what he has to say about this topic. All right, so he gave us a very good understanding of what a virus is, right? And so now, taking our conversation from yesterday, we talked about bacteria. Today, we now have an understanding of a virus. So now we can address our learning objective, which, as a reminder, says I can explain the difference between viruses and bacteria. So let's look at both of them and see where they connect, see where they differ. All right? So here we have some similarities. Both bacteria and viruses are so small that they can only be seen through a microscope, and both have the ability to cause infection. But that's where the similarities end. Okay, so microscopic, they both can cause what? Infection. There are the similarities. Now let's look into bacteria. Bacteria are one-cell organisms that can be found naturally throughout our bodies and in our environment. Most are homeless and do not cause infection. Surprise? Maybe? Okay. Bacteria in our bodies help us to digest food, protect us against other bacteria or microbes, and provide nutrients for our bodies. So those are all great things, all right? Seen under a microscope, they look like rods, balls, or spirals, and they can multiply quickly under the right condition. Less than, check this out, 1% of bacteria actually make us sick. Less than 1%. All right, of bacteria actually make us sick. Infections caused by bacteria include strep throat, tuberculosis, and UTI, also known as urinary tract infection. All right, so that's just a snapshot. Now let's look at this here. Antibiotics, what are those? Antibiotics, we talked about that, right? It means against what? Life, okay? Are available to treat most bacterial infections. However, it is often best to let your body's own immune system fight them if it is able to. All right, so we see in some different scenarios where that is a good choice to make. All right, here we go. Let's look at something else. Viruses. Let's look at viruses. Viruses, on the other hand, cannot live without a host or another living creature to help them multiply. All right, they need to attach to something else. Viruses are smaller than bacteria, and they attach themselves to another living cell and use that cell's genetic material to reproduce themselves. Just a user, just virus user. Just think about that. Just such a user, just trying to come in environments and just take over. I don't like it. I don't like it. Most viruses cause disease. Examples of diseases caused by viruses include the common cold, herpes, shingles, measles, chickenpox, COVID-19, and AIDS. All right. Now here, check this out. Antibiotics, means against life, will not treat a viral infection. It's an infection caused by a virus. Viral infections require either vaccinations to prevent them in the first place or antiviral drugs to inhibit their development. All right? So vaccination, we'll talk about that in just a second, but that's something that is placed inside the body to prevent it from even getting there to the point where you have a viral infection. All right? But then the other choice is to use antiviral drugs to inhibit the development, stop the development. All right? So let's look at some information in regards to vaccination. All right? And so what in the world are they? You may have heard this term before, and your parents may take you to get vaccinated. Let's take a look. What would that be? So babies are born with protection against some diseases because their mothers pass antibodies proteins made by the body to fight disease to them before birth. Breastfed babies continue to get more antibodies in breast milk, but in both cases, the protection is temporary. All right. Immunization, vaccination, is a way to create immunity to protection from some diseases. So this is done by using small amounts of a killed or weakened germ that causes the disease. All right. Germs can be viruses or bacteria. Vaccines stimulate the immune system. This is what they do. To react as if there were a real infection. It fends off the infection and remembers the germ. Then it can fight the germ if it enters the body later. So it's like when you receive a vaccine, it's preparing for a fight. You think of someone that is training for boxing. They're like, okay, if he comes with a left right hook, then I'll come in with this and I'll do this, right? And they're training. The trainer is prepping the boxer for how to respond to certain situations, right? And so then once they get in the ring, ding, 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 right? And they're in the boxing ring and they're in that fight. If the opponent swings a certain way and they've already received training, then they can respond as their trainer has taught them, right? So this is similar, right? So a vaccine inside of the body knows how to respond to certain germs, okay? So take a look here. So we have different types of vaccines, all right? And so children get vaccines for these different conditions, right? And we do have some parents that are concerned and are hesitant about this process, okay? So some people may refuse to use vaccines, all right? But this is a process that some people use to go against viruses, all right? So let's take a look here in regards to our current condition and big concern across the country, actually across the world, right? Let's take a look here. COVID-19.
Is there a cure?
Right now, we really don't have a cure for the coronavirus that's circulating that everybody is talking about. And in fact, that's actually true of a lot of the respiratory viruses that we are seeing right now during those winter months. And so that's just because it's really hard to have treatments for viruses just because they can hide from the body so well. So there's a bunch of scientists right now that are actively trying to look into ways to be able to treat the virus. And what's really important for this type of infection is to try and develop a vaccine to use to try and prevent people from getting sick. So there's a bunch of scientists that are working on treatments for that as well.
Okay, so that video touches back into our conversation that we talked about back here, okay? So viral infections require either vaccinations to prevent them in the first place or antiviral drugs to inhibit their development. So right now we have scientists working to deal with the coronavirus, all right? Trying to come up with vaccinations, trying to come up with ways to tackle it for people that have it, okay? And so this is what's considered a viral infection that we're dealing with right now in society, okay? Let's look at a wrap-up question. What does antibiotic mean? What does antibiotic mean? I know you know this. Antibiotic means against life, okay, all right. Next question, what does antiviral mean? Antiviral means against a virus. All right. Question number 3. Name some similarities between virus and bacteria. Similarities. We talked about 2 today. All right. Viruses and bacteria are both microscopic. Virus and bacteria can both cause infection. All right. Let's take a look at number 4. Which one, bacteria or viruses, can reproduce on their own without any help required? Which one can reproduce on their own? Look at you, paying attention. See? Bacteria can reproduce on their own while viruses cannot. All right. Here we go. How do viruses reproduce? What do they do? Good answer. Good answer. Viruses have to get into a cell or another living creature to reproduce. They're going to find a host cell. Okay? Big users, big users. All right? 6, how do you get rid of a bacterial infection? How can you get rid of that? All right? So antibiotics are available to treat most bacterial infections. However, it is often best to let your body's own immune system fight them if it is able to. Keynote, if it is able to. All right? Here we go. How do you get rid of a viral infection? I know you know this. I know you know this. You're so smart. Viral infections require either vaccinations to prevent them in the first place or antiviral drugs to inhibit their development. Good job. Check you out. All right. What is a vaccination? In your own words. Okay. I see you. Hitting it on a nail. Okay. Okay, immunization, vaccination is a way to create immunity to protection from some diseases. This is done by using small amounts of a killed or weakened germ that causes the disease. All right. Is the common cold a virus or a bacteria? Good answer. Common cold is a virus. All right, here we go. What are scientists doing to prevent the spread of coronavirus? What are they doing? Explain, please. Like as if you're talking to one of your friends. Okay, all right. So scientists are trying to find ways to treat the virus. Scientists are trying to develop a vaccine to use to prevent people from getting sick. All right. Good answer. And that wraps up our learning for today. Okay? So you should be able to explain the difference between viruses and bacteria. Make sure you share what you learned with someone at home, one of your friends. Pick up the phone, give someone a call, and explain what you know about bacteria and virus. All right? Let's close out with our outro. Here we go. It's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Oh, it's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.